happy Thanksgiving. This is Rebecca from ChemKnits, and I thought that I would pop on and do a tiny bit of dyeing tonight. I have finished most of my Thanksgiving prep and I'm in the process of cleaning my oven before putting the turkey in tomorrow. And so I thought that I would relax by dyeing some yarn. So I wanted to come on today and dye some solid purple yarn using Wilton's Violet food coloring. Well, Rebecca, you might ask, don't you usually break violet? Don't you like to see the colors separate? And the answer is, of course, I love to see the colors separate. Hi! But I know that you guys have been asking how to dye a solid purple yarn with Wilton's Violet food coloring. And so I wanted to give that a shot. I have gotten solid purples in the past. I'm not sure if things will work perfectly, but we'll give it a shot in the way I've been recommending it. And then if it doesn't work, I will tell you how to tweak it to get the results you want. So in this pot right here, and my oven is hot because it's cleaning, but this water is cool, room temperature, and there are 16 cups of water in my pot. I have gone ahead and dissolved a half teaspoon of Wilton's Violet food coloring in just 1 cup of water right here. And now I am going to add 2 tablespoons of white vinegar to these 16 cups of water. Okay, maybe it's more like 2.5. And I'm going to go ahead and stir this up to evenly distribute the acid as much as possible. I think that since it's cold and it's going to take a while to heat this up, I'm getting started before responding to many questions. Today, we are going to be dyeing 100 grams of my favorite Wool of the Andes worsted weight yarn, and I've been pre-soaking this for about 20 minutes or so in my little tub, and I am now off camera grabbing the yarn so I can be ready to go. So the plan is to add the dye to the dye bath, mix it up so that way the dye is evenly distributed, and then quickly add the yarn to the cold dye pot and stir it up and then start bringing up the temperature. And then if we need to, we can add more acid. So the amount of vinegar that I added today is a lot less than I normally do. I'll frequently use 2 or 3 tablespoons and maybe 6 to 8 cups of water, sometimes a little more. But if you want the dye to bind slower, which is what we want with a more solid color, you want to start with less acid and slowly increase it. Okay, and now let's add in our dye. So again, this was a half teaspoon of Wilton's Violet food coloring in, well, now I guess we've got 17 cups of water. And now, it's our moment of truth. Let's add the yarn as fast as we can and then add our tongs to swirl it around. So you can already see that we've got, it's purple, but it's a pale purple, and a lot of the color is not sticking to it yet because we don't have any heat. I'm now turning on the heat on high to start bringing this up to temp, and I'm going to stir it every once in a while. So we might still get a kettle dyed effect. We might still see some color breaking, but we're not going to see nearly as much breaking as we would with our dip dyeing when we start off with a hot dye bath and slowly add the fiber. And also, when I'm usually doing the extreme breaking, I also, in addition to slowly adding the yarn, I'm also using a lower volume in the dye bath. And so I think that this should all help. But so you can see that we've got like a purple. I wonder if all of the reds have bound. Let me get a a metal colored spoon so we can check out the color. So, okay, we can see that it's pretty blue. It looks like potentially we had a lot of the reds bind, but it's a little hard to know at this point. And now we get to settle in for a nice big waiting step. And so hopefully this won't take, oh, of course I'm dipping my fingers straight in the dye bath. I'm not wearing gloves because since I'm hosting Thanksgiving, my gloves and everything was put away, but I climbed up to get my dyeing supplies so I could pop on. I was a little sick of cleaning and cooking, so I figured I would cook something else. Do you guys have any questions? I'm going to scroll back through. Do I use white? Yes, I use just kitchen white vinegar. So this is the vinegar I use. It is the generic white vinegar from my local store. You can also use citric acid. I don't really know about the proportions that you would want to use. But so today I am using a non-superwash yarn. This yarn right here is just 100% wool. It can felt. I found that the superwash yarns tend to absorb dye a lot faster. So if this goes well, then we'll try this again with a superwash yarn or sock yarn to see if we can also get a more solid purple. I still expect to see some variation of color, but the breaking will be significantly less extreme than what we're used to. So this is what I frequently get when I dye with Wilton's Violet. And so I am not expecting to have this extreme amount of breaking in our experiment today. And so just peeking for yarn is much more fun to cook, definitely. Have I done any testing with adding the vinegar after adding the yarn? Not necessarily specifically. Sometimes I've had to add more vinegar to the pot after it's been dyeing because I want the color to absorb faster. And if I was to add this to the dye now and then add vinegar, the yarn at the top would get more, have more access to the acidity first versus the yarn at the bottom. And so with that uneven access to the acid, the top of the yarn would start soaking up the color a lot faster. And so you could end up with some uneven color. And of course, with the way it's heating, we could end up with some uneven color as well. But ooh, wow. So we've got it looks like a nice pink yarn because blues typically, and you might see that I need to add more vinegar today once we're hot to get these blues to absorb. But blue usually requires a lot more acid, heat, and time to bind to the wool fibers, which is why we can see this dramatic breaking. Yeah, so sometimes there's so many things you can do to get just really, really subtle variations of color. Dyeing with tea, that's something else on my list. Yeah, you guys, let me know the ideas and stuff that you want to see because I keep a list and I try to make these ideas happen. And I know you guys wanted, I figured out, or they just made it possible to do polls on Facebook. So you guys wanted to see live dyeing next. But I do have some live spinning coming up for my Spin Into Gold sponsor, but ooh. Yeah, so it looks like I would say that there definitely might be some breaking in here just from when I picked it up, but it's hard to know if what I was seeing was just some of this yarn was absorbing more of the blue liquid or if it had absorbed yet. Oh, that sounds like the copper gradient from orange, pink to yellow sounds really pretty. I mean, I think that it definitely could. I think that giving the fibers access to as much of the dye as possible before it's binding will help you get a more even color. However it is you do that. So right now I'm slowly bringing up the heat, but if we saw in the first episode of Dye Pot Weekly, when I added the dye onto the yarn cold, I was just squirting the Kool-Aid bottles onto the yarn, the dye absorbed to the stock yarn almost immediately. Whereas with this 100% wool yarn, it took a little more time. So, the citric acid changed it to mostly blue. That's interesting because the citric acid versus vinegar shouldn't make too much of a difference in terms of the colors. But maybe the overall pH was different. I don't know. I haven't actually tested the pH of any of my dyeing experiments yet. Agitating my fiber, which is usually a big no for me, right, guys? I usually say, don't agitate your fiber, because you don't want to risk felting it. But if you look at any of the commercial dyes, like RIT dye and some other dyeing instructions, they all say to use a big pot of water. And I could have added more water here. I just wanted to start with a lower volume to get a sense of what to recommend and how much to push it. But the dyeing recommendations that usually come on to get an even color, to use a lot of water and to move the fabric around to let all the fibers get access to dye. Yeah. Oh, the water that you have absolutely can make a difference. Some dyers use distilled water, purify and to dye their yarn to get when they need to get consistent color results. But I just use tap water. So, and I'm in Massachusetts, if that makes a difference, and it's not well water for me. The teal yarn you dyed this morning took 40 minutes to take. Yeah, a lot of blue came out. Sometimes some of the blue can be stubborn. So you can get some of it in by increasing the vinegar. But you've seen with some of my dip dyeing that really, sometimes it only takes like 5 minutes after I'm done dipping for it to come in, and sometimes it takes a lot longer. It just depends. But right now, this will take a while to get up to temperature. But you can see that we're mostly in a blue right now. So a lot of color already has absorbed the yarn. And we're pretty warm already. I am impressed. I mean, I'm not quite on power boil. I thought about trying to switch things up and use this burner. But cool. And we're lucky that, I didn't see a lot of the reds crashing out. But so if you wanted more of a pink, you never need to wait for the dye to exhaust. You could remove the yarn right now and be happy. It's more of a pink purple, but you could still be totally happy if that's what you want. I wasn't sure if you guys saw it, but this is the color that we're at right now. But I like blue. I like blue greens. I like blue purples. So that is what I love. Do I have any finished objects using my dip dyed yarns? Not dip dyed? No, I don't think of any of the dip dyed. Some of the hand painted ones, yes. I've hand painted some gradients that would be kind of similar to the dip dye. And one of those from my first 100% wool yarn, one of those is featured there's a video of finished dyed yarns. I don't know if it'll let me post it in the channel. Let me see if I can find it. There's a whole, I have a whole frequently asked questions playlist. And, okay, I actually don't think I want to try to click on any of that. Okay, now I can't see any comments right now. I'd love to see an acid dye self-striping experiment. Yeah, the acid dyes have arrived, and I don't think I'm going to be able to start playing with them until after the holidays. I have a lot more packages to try to get out and stuff, but I do hope to start playing with that soon. And okay, I hope that you guys can. So my shawl was not done quite with dip dyed yarn. I took full skeins of yarn. If I took 3 balls of Knit Picks pallets and like partially submerged them into a pot of dye to get a gradient. But, okay, my stream seemed to have stopped working. Oh, okay, it's working again for me. And hopefully I can see the comments. Yay, I can see comments again. See, that's good. But yes, if you go to the main page, there is a frequently asked questions playlist. I'm afraid to click on a video right now because I don't want it to start playing. I don't know if it'll let me. Hey, I could enter the link to the frequently asked questions playlist. Okay, so now I can see that, and now I'm going to try. This is the hand-dyed yarns. All right, I just added the link for the video that I did using hand-dyed yarns, and it's like a black hat with blues and greens showing through. That one is with the yarn that is the closest that I have to a dip-dyed effect right now. But I've used a lot of different hand-painted. All right, I think we're slowly getting some more blues. I mean, I bet we will still see some breaking, but there's no question from when I lift it up that the color is way more consistent than it is when I try to break it, like right here. So there's no way, I mean, I think that we'll end up with something probably a little more purple than these sections right here. Because these yarns have the blue all over, but the pink just in one spot. So, or maybe it'll be pretty close to this, but I don't know. I have not done this in a while. I did mini skeins purple the first time, and I was actually disappointed that there's no breaking because I heard purples were hard. So I tried like 4 different formulations of purple, and I was all excited. But then they all worked, and I was like, oh, that's not on the channel though. That was on the blog. Oh, that hat is my favorite. I knit it with palette. It's the Knit Picks fingering weight 100% wool yarn. That's the same fiber content as this, and it is. I have a pair of mittens that go along with it too. I think I made the mittens first, but I just love the stained glass look. Yeah, there's some sections where it looks like some of the dye may not have been totally dissolved. There's some like bright red sections, but whew, I need to get a candy thermometer also to help me with some of this. But let's see. Okay, can you see? No. Right here, there's some bright red sections, but it looks like it's pretty dark in camera. But okay, but let's take a look at the blue and see we're already now gone from the deep blue, and now we've got that teal. And this is, if I were dip dyeing, when I start hitting this teal color, that's when I know to add all the yarn, because then a lot of times that can go really, really quickly. Have I considered making an updated video with my more recently hand-dyed finished objects? I have. I don't have, I mean, I have some more pictures. I don't have a lot of the things on hand for the video, but I have just sent out a bunch of the yarn to my Kickstarter backers. And so I'm hoping that to collect some picture submissions from them of what they make with the yarns, to then make kind of a narrated slideshow to show you guys a lot of the different things that you can get when you knit with these yarns. So I am beyond excited to see what a lot of these yarns turn into. Yeah, well, that's fine. I can show you. Show you something I'm working on right now. This yarn was one that I dyed with Lucas when we were using a lot of vinegar and Easter egg dye tablets to space dye. Yeah, so some of that dark red, that sometimes happens with some of the violet. But here it is when I'm knitting it up. And I'm knitting with 2 strands at a time to make this hat like super, super thick. But this is what it's looking like so far. So that's a work in progress hand-dyed project. give this it's definitely starting to get hotter. If I pick up all the yarn real quick, you can see some of this. Oh, and the tie. I want to know what they use for their ties, because that is like bright, bright, bright blue. But you can definitely see that there is some tonal variation in here, in addition to some of those bright pink patches that come from, they tend to come, I think, from some insoluble parts of the yarn. So if I weren't filming this, what I would do right now, since most of the red has absorbed, is I would remove the yarn entirely from the dye bath, add more vinegar, and then add it back in. But I'm a little curious to see just how much, I'm curious to see how much will absorb from just this low level of vinegar. Yay! Dye this weekend! It's so much fun. But if we hit a simmer and we still have a lot of color, then I will beef this up with some more vinegar. I hope you guys are having, yeah, but you can see that we've mostly just got this blue left. But this is a little bit of an experiment for me. And whoo, it's hot. Do I have a link for my shawl? Yes. Let me see. So this one, a lot of my knitting patterns are free. This shawl is not. This is the first lace that I designed. Here's kind of a summary page of it. And there is a video for the yarn that I dyed, and that video is right here. Yeah, and there is the link for the dyeing of the yarn. I started with like a pale green, and then I used, I don't even remember what colors I used. There was definitely violet in there and some other colors that I knew would break. But then I knit the shawl with 2 of the balls of yarn, alternating every couple rows, so that way I could get this gradient. And when I ran out of those balls, I used the other end of the third to get the darkest part around the edge. And so that was a lot of fun. And so the reason to move it is sometimes if there's some fibers and some strands of yarn kind of in the middle, they might not have as much access to the dye. And so I don't know if you've noticed from some of my other dip dyeing, especially with the Stroll Tonal, but if you separate the like hank of yarn, you can almost see some breaking within that one segment. And I guess I refilmed like my recipe for dip dyeing broken violet using the fingering weight sock yarn, and I forget when that's coming out. I think that one's edited and up on the channel. I just went away for a while and came back, so I have a lot of stuff that needs to be edited up. Oh man, I can't spin my own lace weight yet. Hopefully someday. But I'm not quite there yet. Woohoo! We're starting to see some steam come on up. Let's check. Oh, the blue is significantly lighter. And remember that we only added, to a total of 17 cups total volume of the dye bath. We only added about 2.5 teaspoons, 2.5 tablespoons of white vinegar. So, yeah, it is absorbing. And we are getting more purple. Slowly but surely. Yeah, but I had a little internal debate tonight about whether or not I wanted to turn on the fire and settle down to knit. But I didn't really have anything that I knew that I wanted to watch. And so I was like, well, maybe let's just dye some yarn real quickly. I have to do another load of the dishwasher before tomorrow, but there's some space so I can make another pot, and yeah, so that's where we are. This is my first time ever hosting Thanksgiving, so it's my first turkey tomorrow, so fingers crossed. I mean, my mom is going to be here, so she's going to like give me some tips as I do it, and my mother-in-law will be here and she can also give me some tips. So I'm really lucky to have like my brother and Keith's brother and all of our parents and one of my grandfathers, and so it should be a jolly old time. Ooh, 75% off for the Wilton's gel color? Woo! That's really, really nice. Oh, are you guys excited for Black Friday and Cyber Monday? I saw that Dharma Trading, where I bought the acid dyes, they have free shipping over, I forget what dollar amount their orders are. I don't have an affiliate link or anything for them. And Knit Picks just finished their huge sale. So I'm not expecting anything on Cyber Monday because they used to do this at Cyber Monday and then moved it earlier in November. I think the first time they did this, we crashed their servers. So that was a bit of a disaster, but yeah, I don't know. If they do have a sale this weekend, believe me, I will let you guys know. Yeah, see, the color is almost all gone. I had a dream while cooking my first turkey that it deflated. That would be impressive. No, I'm not worried about that. I mean, whenever I make pumpkin pie, which I made them today, but whenever I make pumpkin pie, because it's always so liquidy before you bake it, I'm like, this isn't going to solidify. I'm like, what was I thinking? And then it always comes out totally fine. So, basting the turkey with garlic butter, that sounds good. Yeah, I've seen a lot of cool recipes, but I figured this is my first time roasting a bird ever, so it should be fine. And yeah, people are bringing stuff, so it shouldn't be, there's only 11 of us if you include my kids, and let's be honest, my kids aren't going to eat much of anything that's special for Thanksgiving, except maybe the desserts. Oh, that sounds so yummy. No, but it should be fun. We have like some fun traditions where we get like a big Lego set that we build together as a family, and this year my 4-year-old's gonna be really excited about the Legos, and we'll have to see how we keep him from breaking the Legos, so maybe he'll do his own set that we've saved from his birthday. Yeah, my sister-in-law brines a really good turkey. Okay, you know, almost all the color is in the yarn, you guys. We're just hitting a bubble, and I'm actually going to turn off the heat. I don't think we're going to need to add any additional acid or anything here, because almost all of the color has already absorbed to the yarn. So like if you look at the runoff, that's pretty clear. And we've got, I mean, there's definitely some breaking. I can see some pink sections and some blue sections. So is this a perfect solid? No, it's definitely not a perfect solid. Is it way more solid compared to this? Oh, absolutely. So some other things that you could do to try to make it more solid is you can increase the level of water even more. You could also increase the amount of dye that you have. And clearly, given that when I brought this up to temperature, we have so much, like, in all the blue absorbed, we could add, we could have started with maybe 1 tablespoon of vinegar. Let those pinks absorb. Remove slowly, because if there's less acid, they will absorb even slower to the fiber. Remove the yarn, and then add more vinegar and add the yarn back to let the blues absorb. Hey, it's not cheating to order a pre-cooked turkey dinner. You know, my family has done that at times. It's like whatever you need to do, you do for your family. And oh yeah, that's just clear. That is totally clear. But the bowl where I'm going to put the yarn is not clear because it's got the drippings. Because that's where I was putting everything. All right, so I'm going to remove and try to not drop water on my computer. I'm going to remove this yarn and allow the water to run off. If you guys could see that, you could see just how clear it is. And show you this yarn in a way that, okay, so you can see, I'm not sure if you can see because it's coming across more blue on the camera. There is definitely some breaking here. Okay, you can kind of see in the middle that it's a little more blue here, a little more pink over here. There's some spots of pink, but there's no question, whoop, that's getting hot, that this is way, way more solid than what we're used to. And I am actually going to try to flip you guys around. Let's see. Am I like plugged in? Okay. Let's see. Okay. Here is the yarn, and I'm going to see if I can get it in a way that you can see some of the breaking. Okay, so yeah, right here it's a little more blue and we've got a little more pink. Here's one of the bright sections that those usually come about from some of the more solid colors. But you see this tie? Look at how, I wonder, this might be like Stroll or something superwash. It just absorbs, they absorb so much color. And okay, look here, you definitely see some breaking because where the end is tied, you can see that you get some blue around the knot. Yes, it is very lavender, kind of it's hot, but it's a pinkish purple. Definitely a semi-solid. Well, I mean, there's some color variation because there's more blue and pink. But, again, some ways to make the colors even more solid. Start with more dye, increase your volume of water, decrease the amount of vinegar you start with at the beginning. But for people that don't like the magenta that we get, okay, here. Some people don't like the bright magenta from this. And so what we've got is really this medium color from the dip dyed broken violet. So, yay! First time trying this on camera. Yeah, I love it too. I'm so glad so many of you were able to join me today on this, this Thanksgiving Eve. Well, U.S. Thanksgiving Eve. I know you guys in Canada, and there's a lot of you that watch me from Canada. You guys had your Thanksgiving. But, on camera, so a lot of the reds aren't coming through. There's way more pink than from what I can see on my monitor behind me. But I will definitely, once it dries and stuff, I will be back with a recap to show the finished yarn and to compare it to some of the dip dyed yarns. I wanted to comment. Someone asked today, they dyed yarn with Kool-Aid and they said the yarn was stiff. I don't always show how long I rinse and let the yarn soak after dyeing. Sometimes if the yarn feels stiff, add it back to some tap water and let it soak for a little bit to rinse things out. Because if there's some extra like sugars or sweeteners and other stuff, that can make it, might make it a little stiff. Yeah, you can't start from the beginning because I'm live right now. I'm glad. I know normally I'm only able to do this like in the middle of the day, but tonight the stars aligned and I figured that I would pop on. Yeah, no, my brother and sister-in-law live in the UK, so but my brother-in-law happens to be in the States, so we're gonna get to have him. I think it'll be my first Thanksgiving ever with him. And this is my first date with my husband was the Wednesday after Thanksgiving in 2005. Wow. Okay, that's a long time ago. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me tonight. I really, appreciate you guys popping on. So what's going to happen next, and if you've watched my other videos, then you probably know already. I'm going to let this cool completely. Then I am going to wash it with some dish soap and some cool water, and to make sure the water runs clear, which it should. And then we will, then I'll hang it up to dry, and once it's dry, I will film a little recap and show you what we've got. And so the base of this yarn is the Knit Picks Wool of the Andes worsted weight yarn that I love. My affiliate link is in the video description, I guess down there. And yeah, thank you guys so much for all of your support. I love creating these videos and look forward to your other suggestions because they inspire the videos that I create. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. And if you're not celebrating Thanksgiving, I hope that you have, a wonderful rest of the week and weekend coming up. And, happy shopping for many of you that will be this weekend, experiencing the mad rush for all the deals. But I hope that, one of the things I am thankful for is all of your support, because I wouldn't be still making these videos without your encouragement. So thank you so much, and good night.